Most empaths assume that the people who survive narcissistic relationships are the loud ones, the fighters, the confrontational ones, the people who refuse to back down. But Carl Jung's psychological ideas point towards something far more unexpected. The empath who truly becomes difficult for a narcissist to control is not necessarily the strongest person in the room. Their real advantage comes from possessing a kind of inner awareness that makes manipulation much harder to accomplish. And once you understand that psychological advantage, the entire dynamic begins to look different. Here is the uncomfortable reality. An empath can be confident, intelligent, outspoken, and emotionally strong, yet still become deeply entangled with a narcissistic person. Not because they lack strength, but because the narcissist can use that very strength as an entry point. A proud person can be provoked, a confident person can be challenged, someone with a strong identity can still be made to question that identity when their deepest insecurities are repeatedly targeted. The narcissist recognizes this and may see the strong empath as something to conquer. Their resistance becomes a challenge. Their emotional reactions become a source of stimulation. Their need to defend themselves becomes another opportunity for control. Many empaths enter relationships believing that their sensitivity is their greatest advantage. They can read emotions quickly. They notice subtle changes in someone's mood. They recognize pain beneath someone's behavior. When another person is struggling, their instinct is often to understand rather than judge. Those qualities can be extraordinary in a healthy relationship, but when empathy exists without strong emotional boundaries, the same sensitivity can become an open door. Jung's psychological framework helps explain why. When you become involved with a narcissistic person, you may gradually find yourself living inside a version of reality that has been distorted by their projections. The relationship stops being an equal exchange of perspectives. Instead, the narcissist's interpretation becomes the environment you are expected to live inside. They decide what happened. They decide who is responsible. They determine what you supposedly meant. They assign emotions and motives to you, then expect you to defend yourself against accusations that were never grounded in reality. And because the empath genuinely wants to understand, they participate. They begin questioning themselves. Did I really do something wrong? Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I should communicate this differently. Maybe they are hurting because of something I did. This is where the cycle becomes dangerous. The narcissist's distorted version of reality rarely appears completely absurd at first. It can contain enough truth to sound believable. That small amount of truth makes the manipulation much more difficult to recognize. The empath becomes confused. They feel emotionally exhausted. They may notice that something is deeply wrong, yet struggle to explain exactly what it is. And that uncertainty can become the narcissist's greatest advantage. Because once you stop trusting your own perception, someone else can begin telling you what reality is. This is why so many empaths fall into the role of fixer. They think, if I can just explain myself better, maybe this person will finally understand. So they communicate again, they apologize, they become more patient, they love harder, they give more chances, they search for the wounded person beneath the destructive behavior. But instead of repairing the relationship, these efforts can sometimes pull the empath even deeper into the narcissist's psychological world. The empath's natural desire to heal becomes the trap. When they see someone suffering, they want to rescue them. When they recognize trauma, they want to understand it. When they see emotional dysfunction, they instinctively look for a way to restore peace. A narcissistic person may present themselves as misunderstood, abandoned, betrayed, or damaged by their past. The empath sees the wound and thinks, I can help. But the narcissist may not actually be seeking transformation. They may be seeking attention, emotional reactions, validation, control, or what psychology often describes as narcissistic supply. And the empath's endless attempts to rescue them provide exactly that. This is where the survivor empath becomes different. They do not win by fighting harder. They do not survive by constantly proving the narcissist wrong. They do not spend their life trying to expose every lie. Instead, they develop something far more powerful, the ability to observe without absorbing. Think of it as becoming a psychological mirror. A typical empath may absorb what the narcissist projects onto them. If the narcissist says, "You're too sensitive," the empath begins wondering whether they really are. If the narcissist becomes furious over something insignificant, the empath may immediately absorb that emotional atmosphere and start trying to calm it down. If the narcissist blames them, they may rush into defense mode, but the survivor empath learns to create distance between what is being projected and what is actually true. The narcissist says, "You're impossible." The survivor thinks, "That's how you currently perceive me." The narcissist becomes enraged. The survivor observes, "This is their emotional state. It does not automatically belong to me." That distinction changes everything. This is not emotional coldness, it is emotional clarity. The narcissist wants the empath to absorb the projection. They want the empath to carry guilt they created, defend against accusations they invented, and experience emotions that the narcissist refuses to process themselves. When the empath stops accepting that assignment, the entire system begins to weaken. And this leads directly to one of Jung's most important psychological concepts, the shadow. The empaths who become hardest to manipulate are often those who have confronted their own shadow. They have stopped believing that being a good person means being incapable of anger, selfishness, jealousy, aggression, resentment, or manipulation. They understand that human beings contain contradictions. There is light within us, but there are also parts we would rather not acknowledge. Shadow integration does not mean becoming cruel. It does not mean embracing your worst impulses. It means becoming honest enough to recognize that those impulses exist within the human psyche and learning to consciously manage them. This makes you psychologically whole, and psychological wholeness creates protection. An empath who believes, "I could never manipulate anyone," may be especially vulnerable to someone who understands manipulation. An empath who understands how manipulation works can recognize it much faster. Someone who has examined their own capacity for dishonesty can identify dishonest behavior without being completely shocked by it. Someone who has confronted their own anger does not automatically assume every angry person must be justified. This is why shadow integration can make an empath far less naive. They stop automatically projecting their own goodness onto everyone else. They stop assuming that because they would never intentionally hurt someone, other people must have the same limitations. They begin judging behavior by patterns rather than promises, and that clarity becomes a form of protection. The survivor empath does not need to believe the narcissist is secretly good. They simply observe what the person consistently does. That difference is enormous. Consider a psychological case example. Imagine an empath who has spent years in a relationship with a narcissistic partner. Everyone around her tells her to stand up for herself. So she fights back, she argues, she explains, she demands accountability. But the more she fights, the more energized the narcissist becomes. Every argument creates another opportunity. Every emotional reaction gives him confirmation that he still has influence. Eventually, she discovers something completely different. She stops reacting immediately. She creates what we can call the reaction gap. Whenever something provocative is said, she pauses. Instead of responding from the first emotional impulse, she asks herself, "Is this actually true? Is this emotion mine? Or am I being invited to feel something because it benefits the other person?" That pause becomes her turning point. The narcissist says, "You never appreciate anything I do." Instead of launching into a long defense, she calmly answers, "I appreciate many things you've done." And then she moves on. No argument, no desperate explanation, no emotional performance, no attempt to convince him that she is a good person, just clarity. The reaction gap is powerful because it creates distance between an emotional trigger and your response. An empath may experience emotions intensely, but experiencing an emotion does not mean you have to obey it. You can feel anger without acting from anger. You can feel guilt without accepting false responsibility. You can feel fear without allowing fear to make your decisions. You can recognize someone's pain without making their pain your responsibility. That pause gives your conscious mind an opportunity to take control. And when the empath stops providing predictable emotional reactions, the narcissist's strategy begins losing effectiveness. The drama no longer produces the same reward. The arguments no longer create the same stimulation. The accusations no longer generate endless explanations. The empath has become difficult to manipulate because the usual emotional buttons no longer work. This reveals one of the hardest lessons for an empath to accept. Indifference is often more liberating than hatred. Hatred still creates a connection. If you spend your day thinking about the narcissist, replaying their behavior, imagining what you wish you had said, waiting for them to suffer, or hoping they finally understand what they did, they still occupy psychological space inside you. You may have left physically while remaining emotionally attached. True freedom is different. Eventually, the narcissist's opinion becomes irrelevant. Not because you are pretending not to care, not because you are trying to appear stronger, but because your identity no longer depends on what they think. That is the real transformation. The survivor empath builds a sense of self that cannot be easily reached through criticism, guilt, praise, rejection, or emotional punishment. They no longer need the narcissist to validate their goodness. They no longer need the narcissist to admit they were wrong. They no longer need an apology before allowing themselves to heal. And this is where the narcissist loses their greatest advantage. There is no longer an emotional hook. You can recognize manipulation without becoming consumed by it. You can see the projection without carrying it. You can understand someone's wounds without volunteering to become their healer. You can have compassion without surrendering your boundaries. That is the kind of empath narcissistic manipulation struggles to control. Not the loudest empath, not the most aggressive empath, not the person who wins every argument. The survivor is the empath who knows themselves deeply enough to distinguish their emotions from someone else's, their responsibility from someone else's responsibility, and their reality from someone else's projection. They become a mirror rather than a sponge. And once you stop absorbing everything another person throws at you, their ability to control your inner world begins to disappear. That is the psychological weapon most people overlook. It is not revenge. It is not confrontation. It is awareness. It is the ability to see clearly without losing yourself in what you see. And when you reach that level of awareness, the narcissist may still speak, provoke, accuse, manipulate, or attempt to pull you back into the old dynamic. But something fundamental has changed. You are no longer participating in the illusion, you are watching it, and that is when their power over you begins to end. You become psychologically smooth, leaving the narcissist with nothing to grab onto. But there is a crucial difference between pretending not to care and genuinely becoming indifferent. Forced attachment still carries emotional tension. You are constantly trying not to react, trying to appear unaffected while secretly hoping they notice that you no longer care. That is not freedom. That is suppression. True indifference is peaceful. You no longer need to prove that you have moved on. Their approval does not elevate you, their criticism does not destroy you, and their attempts to provoke you no longer control your emotional state. This is what makes the survivor empath so difficult for a narcissist to manipulate. They do not need revenge. They do not need to expose every lie or win every argument. They simply stop participating in the psychological game. A narcissist is accustomed to predictable reactions. They expect anger, tears, defensiveness, submission, or endless explanations. But the survivor empath offers something completely different: calm awareness. At first, the narcissist may test this new boundary. If anger fails, they may try guilt. If guilt does not work, they may become affectionate. If affection fails, they may become crueler than before. This escalation can resemble an extinction burst, the temporary increase in a behavior when the reward that previously maintained it disappears. Suddenly, they may remind you of the good times, promise to change, or behave as though everything can return to normal. If that does not work, they may switch tactics and become deliberately provocative. The survivor empath recognizes the pattern. They do not mistake temporary kindness for genuine transformation, and they do not allow cruelty to pull them back into emotional combat. They simply observe. That is the turning point. The narcissist is not losing because the empath fought harder. They are losing because the emotional response they depended upon is no longer available, and that changes the meaning of victory. You do not have to destroy the narcissist. You do not have to make them suffer. You do not even need them to admit what they did. You simply become someone they can no longer emotionally control. A game cannot continue when one person refuses to play. What follows is something much deeper than relief from a toxic relationship. It is inner peace, the realization that another person's opinion no longer determines your identity. You have examined your own fears, insecurities, anger, weaknesses, and contradictions. You have stopped pretending that you are only the good parts of yourself. That is where Jung's concept of shadow integration becomes important. When you understand your own shadow, other people's darkness becomes easier to recognize. You become less naive about human nature. You stop assuming that everyone has the same intentions you do. This does not make you cruel. It makes you aware. The survivor empath learns that compassion does not require self-abandonment. You can care about someone without becoming responsible for their emotional life. You can understand someone's pain without volunteering to heal them. You can be kind without allowing kindness to become an invitation for exploitation. This transformation also involves differentiation. Many empaths struggle to separate their own emotions from those of other people. Someone is angry and they immediately feel responsible. Someone is disappointed and guilt takes over. Someone criticizes them and they begin questioning themselves. Differentiation means learning where you end and another person begins. You can recognize someone's anger without owning it. You can understand someone's sadness without becoming responsible for fixing it. You can hear an accusation without automatically believing it. The survivor empath knows their values, boundaries, limits, and non-negotiables. When someone tries to define them, they do not feel compelled to prove themselves. They know who they are. And that internal certainty is powerful. Consider an empath who spends years with a narcissistic partner constantly telling him that he is selfish, uncaring, inadequate, and incapable of making her happy. At first, he believes her. He works harder. He changes himself. He tries to become the person she says he should be. But nothing is ever enough. Every time he corrects one supposed flaw, another accusation appears. Eventually, he realizes something important. These accusations may reveal more about the person making them than about him. This is projection. A person may place qualities they cannot accept within themselves onto someone else. Once the empath understands this, he stops automatically accepting every accusation as truth. Instead of asking, "How do I prove that I am not this person?" he begins asking, "Why am I being asked to carry something that does not belong to me?" That question creates distance. Distance creates clarity. He stops defending himself against every accusation. He stops trying to earn approval from someone committed to misunderstanding him. He begins observing patterns instead of reacting to individual incidents. Eventually, he prepares to leave. When he finally does, the narcissistic partner is shocked because she had become accustomed to his compliance. But he has reclaimed something far more important than her approval, his authentic self. This is the common thread among survivor empaths. They stop fighting on the narcissist's battlefield. They stop trying to prove their reality. They stop chasing apologies. They stop explaining themselves to someone determined not to understand. They realize that you cannot win a game when the other person keeps changing the rules. The only real victory is refusing to play. But reaching that point requires painful sacrifices. You may have to abandon the hope that the narcissist will suddenly become the person you wanted them to be. You may have to stop waiting for an apology, stop expecting them to recognize your worth, and accept that they may never understand the damage they caused. That is painful because many empaths believe that if they can just communicate clearly enough, the other person will eventually understand and change. But your healing cannot depend on someone else's awakening. You do not need them to recognize your value before you can recognize it yourself. You do not need their agreement before you can trust your own reality. And you do not need their permission to walk away. The moment you reclaim authority over your own inner world, the narcissist begins losing access to the place where their control once existed. That is true freedom. Not pretending you do not care, not trying to look stronger, not waiting for revenge, simply reaching a place where their words no longer determine who you are. You become calm, you become clear, and most importantly, you become your own again. In the end, your purpose is not to save the narcissist, it is to save yourself. Freedom begins when you stop seeking their validation and start trusting your own reality. You do not need their apology, understanding, or approval to know your worth. The survivor empath becomes powerful through self-knowledge. They understand their own shadow, recognize manipulation without absorbing it, and maintain compassion without sacrificing themselves. They can love deeply while still walking away from what destroys their peace. You do not have to become cold to become protected. You simply have to become whole. Because when you truly know who you are, there is far less for manipulation to control. The narcissist may move on, but that is no longer your concern. Your healing, your boundaries, and your freedom are. Know yourself. Trust yourself. Choose yourself. That is how the empath stops merely surviving and finally becomes free.